happiness. So please speak the affirmation on the screen with me with feeling.
Life is a joyous adventure because I put God first as my unfailing source in all areas of my life. I give thanks that I am healthy, wealthy, happy, and living in deep, loving connection with all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So summer is a great time to open up a book, right? And go on some sort of adventure, an adventure in the imagination with all of its plots and twists and turns and so on. And so I have my own summer reading list. And I find that the twists and turns that come from the kinds of books that I love to read, which are about the inner journey, the inner adventure, provide a lot of food and nourishment for the soul and help me to expand and to look at things, these beautiful spiritual principles that we know are universal truths, look at them in maybe just a slightly different way and help to expand my expression of them more fully. So this month, each week, I'm going to be taking a different book and sharing the principles and interweaving them, integrating them with what we teach here, so that all of us can more fully, maybe just have a different perspective on some of the things that we think we know. And one of the things that I always invite everybody to do as well is to watch that little voice that says, "Oh, I already know that." Because that's the voice that limits us. If we keep our hearts and our minds open, then maybe there's another level that we can know that truth. Another level. So, today I'm going to be talking about a book called Thrive. It's by Arianna Huffington. Many of you may know her and know that she has an online newsletter with a lot of really wonderful articles. And she wrote a book called The Four Qualities of Thrive. And in it, there's a focus, this is part of it, on the four qualities of a redefined successful life. A redefined successful life. So our culture often defines success as money, fame, and power, right? And yet, there's all of us have been on the spiritual path for a while. Many of us already have a strong sense, if not know, that if we put our emphasis just on that, which is the material, we can become very disenchanted, maybe even discouraged, and maybe even disillusioned about life. Because we've come to realize that it's about something deeper. And this is one of the things that Arianna Huffington shares. She says the difference between what success looks like and what truly makes us thrive isn't always clear as we're living our lives. But it becomes much more obvious in the rearview mirror. Have you noticed that when we die, our eulogies celebrate our lives very differently from the way that society defines success? So here's an example. Do you ever hear these kinds of things in eulogies? The crowning achievement of his life was that he made senior vice president. Or, she increased market share for her company multiple times. Or, she never stopped working and she even ate lunch at her desk every day. That was actually me as a school counselor. It was. How about, while he didn't have many real friends, he had 600 Facebook friends. Or he dealt with every email in his inbox every night before he went to bed. Yeah, that's a little too close, too. So here's the thing that most eulogies, so think about some of the things that eulogies talk about. They talk about the small kindnesses that we experienced about that person, about the way that we felt loved by them, about what are some other things? When
The way they loved.
relationships, what?
The way they loved.
The way they loved, the gifts they shared with us, just how they shared themselves with us and our experience of them. So we're talking about essence qualities. So the thing is when we put our attention back on those essence qualities in our lives, and we have an intention of bringing that more fully forth, that is what makes us thrive. That is where true success lies. And there's actually, well, believe it or not, a lot of scientific evidence on this, and that's one of the things that Arianna Huffington brings forth. Is not only is this something we experience, but they've done a lot of scientific studies on what is thriving really. So the 4 qualities, Dan put them up a little early, but you got a chance to glance at them. The qualities that I'm going to be talking about today then are well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving. So these are the 4 qualities of a redefined successful life, looking at it from the spiritual perspective, because we know that when we go to the source, and we were just doing that a little bit earlier, when we go to by lifting our eyes up, when we go to the source of the divine, and when we look up, by the way, that doesn't mean that God is way out there somewhere. It just reminds us of the more expansive, universal nature of who we are and what we are a part of, because the fullness of that universal divine is within us, as well as all around us. So, Ian Thomas wrote this, and I think this is so profound, so listen to this. This is awesome. Every day, the world will drag you by the hand, yelling, "This is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this, and this, and this." And each day, it's up to you to yank your hand back, put it on your heart, and say, "No. This is what's important." So do that with me. Put your hand on your heart and say with me, "This is what is important. This is what's important." So well-being then is the first quality of a redefined successful life. So this is a story that Stephen Covey told at one point in time. There was a time management expert who had a group of businessmen and women that he was working with, really high-powered, overachieving types. So you get the picture, right? So he has this whole group, and he said, "Okay, here's a quiz." So he pulls out a huge mason jar, really big, wide-mouthed mason jar, and he starts putting in these big fist-sized rocks one at a time until, they're up to the top. And he says, "Is this jar full?" And they said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, let me do this then." So he goes and he grabs a bucket of gravel and starts pouring that in. And he said, "So is the jar full?" And they're kind of on to him now. And they said, "Probably not." He said, "You're right." So he goes and gets a bucket of sand, pours the sand in. Sand starts filling in all of the crevices. You can picture it. And he said, "Is it full now?" And they're all saying, "Probably not." So then he takes a pitcher of water and pours the pitcher of water in until it's completely full. Excuse me. So then, what he says, so he said, so what's the point of this? What's the point of this exercise? And so this eager beaver person raised their hand and says, I know the point is that no matter how full your schedule looks, you can always squeeze in more. And he said, no, that's not the point. The point is if you don't put in all of the large rocks, the priorities in your life first, then all of the minutiae of life will fill in the rest of your day. So this is about mindfully going about our day as a way to ensure our own well-being. And I am going to propose something to all of you. I'm going to propose that the highest priority, at least this is for me, is my connection with the divine, my connection with God, with Spirit. And I am so amazingly spiritually fed by this experience that we're sharing here today, spiritual community. So my proposal is that if we make that a priority, showing up here on Sundays with each other, receiving spiritual food, not only from the message, the music, and the readings and all of the other things, the prayers, also there is a lot of spiritual nourishment by being with one another. And in truth, this is not something that I've just done lately. I've been practicing this for a lot of years. I've made Sunday mornings a priority since, okay, I started the whole New Thought movement coming to spiritual centers back in 1990. Very consistent that whole entire time. But even before that, when I went to the Methodist Church before that, I went consistently because somehow, I guess it was in my upbringing or whatever it was, I knew that my spiritual connection with the divine is a high priority. And, it doesn't stop here, of course. It continues on throughout the week. We have classes and so on, but our spiritual practice every day. So when we put that rock in as our first priority, then other things don't take its place. So for me, that spiritual practice each day is part of this rock. And showing up on Sundays and being with spiritual family and community is so important. It keeps me nourished and vibrating at a much higher frequency, which means greater happiness. And what I would love for you more than anything else is that we, for all of us, is that we live in a higher state of joy and happiness. Because when we vibrate at those high levels, you've heard seek first the kingdom and all else is added. Well, that's how we seek first the kingdom, is we keep our vibration high by knowing our connection, and everything else in our lives just starts showing up. So here's an analogy that I think might really help us. So what would happen if we took care of our physical being in this way? What if we said, I've had my meal for the month. That'll hold me over for the month. Or you just take one breath and you figure, okay, that'll hold me over for a couple of weeks. So it's that way with our spiritual nourishment and our nurturance, is as we're consistent, we open, we expand, we grow, and we unfold. So here's something I'm going to invite you to do this month. Start this month and experiment. Come every Sunday this month. Do your best. I know some of you have work and you're not able to, but do your best to come every Sunday this month and beyond this, and watch how you grow and change and expand and unfold. I invite you, I challenge you to do that, and let me know what happens. Those of us who have been coming regularly know that it makes a difference. Yes, it does, being together. hearing spiritual truth. All right, so spiritual well-being, the first rock. Oh, I have something else that's part of this. I'd like you to put your hand over your heart. And I want you to not only say this with just intellectually, but I want you to feel this. My presence here matters.
My presence here matters.
And say it one more time. My presence here matters. It makes a difference for me.
It makes a difference for me.
And it makes a difference for everyone else.
And it makes a difference for everyone else.
Thank you, Dwayne. All right. Okay, so wisdom. Wisdom, the next quality of redefined success. So there are two pieces, there's so much I could share with you about wisdom, but there are two pieces that I want to focus on today. And the first one is recognizing that love and connection is what we are all seeking ultimately, right? Love and connection. That is really the ultimate. There's a thing about oneness that resonates with us, that feeling that we're a part of something, that we belong, that we're loved, and that we have people to love. So so that's okay. Let me get recentered here. So I don't know if any of you have read. I trust that some of you have, and I invite all of you to read our newsletter this week, particularly the article that is on public speaking. Did anybody read that? Yeah. What was the message of that? Jennifer?
So I'm going to paraphrase, but it was something around rather than me worrying about what others think of me, consider how can I see others? How can I see their true essence so that I can help them expand something around.
Yeah. So it was all about love. It was about how rather than taking the emphasis on how good am I, giving the message, it's the emphasis is on how wonderful and beautiful and good you are, the people that I'm speaking to. As we keep our attention on loving them instead of performing, then everything shifts. It's because of this idea that all that we're all seeking is a sense of our own connection and love for one another, and that feeling of being loved, feeling loved. So the next piece on wisdom is that the universe is good, and because that is all there is, we are good. Our nature is goodness. We are, by nature, good and very good, innocent and very innocent, pure and very pure. Breathe that in and feel that. That's our essence. It doesn't matter what we've done, where we've been, or what people have told us. This is our divine nature. We are sons and daughters of the Most High. In the Bible it says, ye are God's children of the Most High. I don't know if anybody's really focused on that or thought about that. Many of us have, because I know I've said this many times, but it's a very powerful statement, that innocence and that purity. And so from that standpoint, it is really easy to see the next logical step is that the universe then, our spirit, is conspiring for our highest good. And our highest good does not mean suffering. Our highest good means more peace, more love, more joy, more happiness, more goodness of every kind that we can ever imagine. The universe is conspiring for that because we are the children of the Most High. It's kind of like, think of how you feel about your own children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews or the younger people in your life. You are totally for them. You want to see them succeed. And so think of then the universal, all that is, how much more this presence wants each one of us to have the very best experience of life possible. So when we line up with that awareness, it starts with that awareness. No one's against you. This universe is not against you. So I'm going to take it a step farther and share with you something from Marcus Aurelius. So before I read this, think of the most challenging situation or person in your life right now. Just think of that. And then I'm going to read this to you. And so imagine you're saying this. You are here for my benefit. So think about that thing. You are here for my benefit. Though rumor paints you otherwise, and everything is turned to one's advantage when he or she greets a situation like this. You are the very thing I was looking for. Can you imagine saying to the biggest challenge that you have, you are the thing that I was looking for? You are the thing I was looking for. Truly, whatever arises in your life is the right material to bring about our growth and the growth of those around us. This art, called life, is a practice suitable for both humans and gods. Everything contains some special purpose and a hidden blessing. Many of us have heard this before. How often do we really practice it, though? At seeing even the greatest challenges as opportunities for us to grow. Opportunities for us to grow. How many of you have experienced that? Some of your biggest challenges have led to the greatest growth in your lives. Yes, I know for me that is so true. Okay, wonder. Wonder, another quality of a redefined successful life. So St. Augustine said this, we go forth to wonder at the heights of the mountains, the extent of the oceans, and the course of the stars, and omit to wonder at ourselves. So what is this thing called wonder? Rapt attention, admiration, astonishment at something awesomely mysterious. There's a lot of A's. There are a lot of A's in there. Rapt attention, admiration, and astonishment at something awesomely mysterious. So rather than a lot of self-doubt or self-criticism, thinking about what we did wrong, what we could have done better, regrets, all that stuff about the past, or fear about the future, all of those things those mental gymnastics that we often go through. What if we could begin to wonder at ourselves? Have you ever wondered at yourself how amazing it is that we are here, awake, aware, able to move these bodies around in different directions, able to, when I was on the plane going out to Seattle, able to go up in these planes and look down on everything below us and see everything looks like these little miniature cars and and so on, and the fields and all of it. What an incredible wonder we are. Humanity, our own lives, everything about it is just amazing. But in particular, as we begin to wonder at ourselves, we begin to behold the divine in ourselves. I love Louise Hay. Anybody else love Louise Hay? She is so amazing. She's she's actually a religious science minister, a New Thought minister by training. And she has something that she calls mirror work. And there have been a couple articles in her newsletters recently about mirror work. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's very simple, but it's a way to create wonder and honor of the divine within us. And that is to look in a mirror, hold it up in front of us, look in the mirror, and begin to say, and this might sound narcissistic, but you're doing it from a different standpoint. This is about looking at the divine and honoring the divine. To look in the mirror and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And the exercise is meant to be done 5 times a day for a week to really get this to sink in. Now, that's not a really big commitment, 5 times a day for a week, to really get that moving. And the profound changes that people experience as a result of this, of gaining a sense of wonder about their own divine being, is powerful, because life is a mirror. Have you ever thought about that? Life is a mirror. How we view ourselves is how we tend to view the rest of life. And if we can shift how we view ourselves, if we can really feel deep love and appreciation for ourselves, then it's natural to have much more compassion and love and appreciation for everyone else. That's how it works. Life is a mirror. Life is a mirror. Could somebody turn the blinds up, because I'm looking right into the glare of some of the light that's being reflected off. So mirror work. Oh, and I know the next step in mirror work, I love you, I really love you, and do that for a minute 5 times a day. The next step is life loves me. Life loves me. It really, really loves me. Life loves me. And then you begin to receive the goodness of life. Very simple practices, yet very profound. So this, again, supports this whole concept of wonder, which is rapt attention, admiration, and astonishment at the awesomeness of life, beginning with ourselves. All right, giving. I'm going to reread that beautiful Tagore quote that Linda shared with us. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. Service and joy, one and the same. How many of you have experienced that? I know I have, yeah. So this is what Arianna Huffington says, and I want to share this because tell me if this doesn't sound like a New Thought minister. She said, every place is full of openings to make a real difference in the life of another human being. There are millions of small missed opportunities at home, in our offices, on the subway, on the street where we live, in the grocery store. When we flex our giving muscles every day, the process begins to transform our lives. Because however successful we are, when we go out in the world to get things, we are operating from a perceived deficit. I'm going to say that again. When we go out in the world to get things, we are operating at a perceived deficit, focused on what we don't have and are trying to obtain. But when we give, however little or much we have, we are tapping into our sense of abundance and overflow. It may be somewhat counterintuitive, but it is gravity. And, oh, I'm sorry, it is gravity that enables us to stand tall. That which seems to pull us down to earth and limit us actually enables us to expand upward. In the same way, it is when we give that we feel most abundant. Giving sends a message to the universe that we have all we need. We become virtuous by the practice of virtue, responsible by the practice of responsibility, generous by the practice of generosity, compassionate by the practice of compassion. And when we become abundant by giving to others. There's a term in the Hindu yogic traditions that's called seva, sacred giving. It's giving from a place of knowing that when we are giving, we are actually giving to the all. We're giving to the self with a capital S, which is also giving to ourselves, that really there is no separation. So it's a very expanded idea of giving. The other thing that I have learned over the years is that when I give from a place of with no strings attached, when I just give from my heart, that what happens is I step into this thing called the law of circulation, and the universe cannot help but provide the flow back to me, and then I have more to give. This is all on an energetic level. Our human eyes, when we look down, I talked about this earlier, think, oh, if I give that, then I have that much less. But when we raise our eyes up, we realize that when I give this, there is so much more. Oh my gosh, there is so much more. I am in this flow of infinite supply. It takes that kind of perspective. Because again, when we look down, it looks like deficit. Oh, I do this, I'm taking it away from me. So I invite you to move into this more expanded state of when you give, look up. Remind yourself that you are one of the one. You are a presence of unlimited possibility and potentiality. You are a co-creator with the all that is. You are the generosity and the kindness and the compassion of spirit showing up on this planet. What would happen if everybody in this room stepped into a greater sense of givingness and generosity? What would happen? Just invite you to contemplate that. So again, today, the focus has been on the big rocks, right? What are the big rocks that really help us to thrive? And the first one is well-being, particularly our spiritual well-being. The second one is wisdom. And the wisdom that what we all are really seeking is love and connection, and that the universe is good and it's for us. It's conspiring for us, even the biggest challenges. Wonder of all of life begins with a wonder and appreciation of the divine that is within us. And giving, that sense of giving from a place of overflow, realizing that we send a message to the universe every time that we give, that we are abundant. And when we believe that we are abundant, the universe shows us all of the ways in which we are abundant. So I'd like us all to turn within in this moment. Actually, I'm going to do something a little different. Let's do a chamber of prayer. Could all of the practitioners please stand around the room, and let's all together know this higher truth of well-being and wholeness and beauty and grace. Good, there are 4 of us. We can all get in one area together. Okay. All right, so let's take a breath together. And so I begin by knowing that all there is one life, one presence, one power, one source. And that one source that is infinite potentiality. It is Thank you. Okay. So now is our opportunity to practice this beautiful law of giving and receiving. So Dan, would you put the... Oh no, Pat's singing first. Okay, Pat. And so it is.